Welcome to TradeTheNBI.com. This is John. This report is for the 18th of October, and well, we saw it here with the NBI Magenta crossing above, as we talked about. Nothing stopping the market continuation, as well as DOC here, where the Cyan midterm buyers took over the shorts, which really have not been active. Even when we had this slight decrease, they never really caught on or were interested in the setup, so that left clean ride up. Albeit some of the initial parts of it take place in pre-market. That's the advantage of futures and why we look at them, because they're able to trade so much more than the regular sessions, and it allows for a lot of outside gains on opening gap situations, where here NASDAQ, similar short-term buyers rising, midterm, even long-term, everything on the upswing, and it's pushed it back over the 50%. Once it got above the 50%, really no resistance to speak of. From a Euro standpoint, again, we know what the Eurozone issues are and why that's not going anywhere. Bond issue, probably should start to see those declining some more as the pressure on rates continues to rise, with inflation starting to spread its way through, and we're going to see that by the end of the year, or even before that, with Christmas setups coming and the supply disruptions. There's going to be fewer goods and higher prices, not to mention energy just escalating. Let's look at 50K before talking about the 5K. So from a 50K standpoint, beautiful from an NBI standpoint here, with the white continuously riding. In fact, it was hovering around zero for most of the day. It started to perk up just a little bit, finally up over that 6 level, but with red NBI so far elevated, no real competition from a short standpoint, not to mention Cyan under red from a DOC, always a buy configuration, and that leads it clean for that setup. I think we can even look at performance report here. Let's look at the active trade on that setup. Excellent from that standpoint. Actually, with some of the adjustments I've been making on strategy setup from our dot configurations that I've been posting, move this percentage even higher when it comes to long win rate, and it's just a matter of adjusting some of those exits related to what we had from the dots, so that we ignore some of these intermediate short setups that just aren't exactly the right configuration where we want them at the peak. But moving along nicely on that. And then from a 5K standpoint, even when we had the brief short setups, they were minor, and we knew they were going to be minor, simply because we were in situations where we had rising gold, and that usually produces a smaller 5 to 6 point, sometimes can get up to 8, whereas normally with the spikes of orange and the magenta rising, we're usually looking for somewhere closer to the 10, which also happened. We ended up getting a couple of those 10 spot moves even after the opening of just straight up. And this is where, when we get those big moves early on, and they stay pretty consistent throughout a day, you've got shorts upside down. There's really nowhere for them to take it. Usually you get an intraday where they start to fill in a little bit of the positive extremes, which happened pretty quick, but stabilized off previous algo levels above that 46, and then we moved towards the upper range of it, which all the way up to 44.73. And it's interesting because we had talked about the 43.73 was the turnaround point from an institutional standpoint, and we had it even lower with our move above the 38%, which is like in the 60s. So it leaves it pretty much open for continued escalation, still within a buy at the end of the day. So potential for futures starting the day on the plus side still exists there. It filled in a lot of those positive exchanges. We have the earlier ones from the initial rise that will still be in effect, but you can see from that 50K was pretty clean from that standpoint until you get a dip down. Now, we're riding so high from ABM level. I don't have the ABM on the 50K here, just because this is for cleanliness purposes, keeping it easy to see, but there's a long gap between that 100% and 76. There's plenty of range to move within there and still be within that uptrend, even on some portion of a retrace. Now you can see, though, from a 50K standpoint, all the way going back to the beginning of this move at 43.55, all positive extremes. It's just a matter of waiting for the catalyst that will generate that sell, and then we'll have all these targets for each one of these positive extreme setups going back through. So those will become relevant as we eventually see a sell signal return. As always, though, I will keep updating on the Skype chat and updating you with modified dot setups so that you have that and can easily follow that. And I'm incorporating them actually into the strategies now. It's looking pretty good, so it's just a matter of readjusting all that. But as always, as soon as it's available, I will get it to you. Trade well. We'll talk again later. We'll see you on Skype chat.